what's happening with Te Kohanga Reo? For months, accusations of financial mismanagement have been circulating, but the Kohanga Reo National Trust has consistently refused to answer these claims until now. Over to you, Scotty.
Yes, kia ora miriama. On Friday, we received High Court documents relating to the Kohanga Reo Trust and its subsidiary, Te Pataka Ohanga Limited. These documents reveal questionable spending and a lack of policy and procedure. With me now are Te Kohanga Reo National Trust board members, Toni Waho and Druis Barrett. Tēnei te mihi, kia kōrua. Now, Toni, I'd just like to start with you. Tell us about Te Pataka Ohanga. Why was it established and where does its funding come from?
It receives no government funding. In the 1990s, the Ministry of Education issued funding for early childhood property to the early childhood sector as a grant or a loan. And the National Trust Board at that time administered the building funds as a loan for Kohanga under that policy. And for a nominal interest for the loan, Kohanga whānau around the country agreed to circulate that pūtea to gain access to more property for more kohanga to be able to be established. And so the excess funds that were raised were passed over to Te Pataka Ohanga to look after, to support kohanga.
Okay, so Te Pataka Ohanga is at the centre of all the controversy, Druis, because there's accusations of inappropriate usage of credit cards. Now, we've got designer clothing purchases, cash advances, personal travel and accommodation, koha transactions made by the general manager. How can all this be justified when we all know that so many kohanga reo out there are struggling financially?
No, it can't be justified, Scotty, because we have an investigation in place at the moment, and until that investigation is concluded, then we'll action what we have to do from the investigation.
So you agree that there has been some misappropriation happening here?
We are not certain yet until we get through with the investigation.
Once the investigation happens, if there has been some misappropriation of inappropriate usage of credit cards, will heads roll?
Again, I'd have to say that we'd have to wait for those investigations to come through, and Te Pataka Ohanga will action whatever the findings are of that.
Okay, let me put this question to you. We've learned that the GM, Linda Tawhiwhirangi, has a dishonesty conviction, has served custodial sentence. So why on earth was she appointed as the general manager of Te Pataka Ohanga in the first place?
Scotty, I'd like to say to you it's really unfair that you go back 40 years. The general manager of Te Pataka Ohanga has worked for Te Pataka Ohanga for 16 years, and 3 of those years she's been made general manager. So there's a bit of unfairness to actually go back on the conviction when it happened 40 years ago.
Toni, me pēnei pia te pātai ki a koe. He tō kōrero ki ngā kohanga reo o te motu. Ka riri, ka pāma mai i tēnei mahi a kūtau. I te mea, kei waho rā rātau, e tangi ana. Kei waho rā rātau, e pakaru ana o rātau matapihi, roto i o rātau kohanga. Ka rea rātau pūtea, hei hoko rauemi. Engari, te kaumārima miliona tāra, kei roto i te tahua pūtea te Kohanga Reo Trust. There's $15 million sitting in the trust, and yet kohanga reo out there are struggling. They can't fix their windows, they can't get resources. How do you respond to those kohanga reo?
Kei te puku mahi te pāri matua, kia tautoko ia ngā kohanga reo putano i te motu. I ia tau, ka tau mai kia mātou, neki atu i te whitutakau miliona tāra. Ka tai mai ki mātou, ka tukuna hāngai te atu ki ngā kohanga reo. Ko ngā muni, ka riro ia mātou, mā te kohanga reo, ka tai ki te kohanga reo. Nā, kua tirohia wā mātou whakapaunga pūte e roto i ngā tau, KPMG, ko te hunga tiro ki ngā pūtea, ko tika a mātou whakahaere pūtea. Mo te kaumārima miliona tāra, kua herea katoa tērā. Ko te nuinga o tērā, he pūtea hei hanga ware. Ka pipi mātou ki tērā, ka pupurihia, mo te wākahanga e te whare, ka whakaputi te pūtea ki reira. Ai, he pūtea tāhua, kei te tukuna e mātou mā te Pataka Ohanga e tiaki. Nā, ko nā muni nei, e kororohia nei mō ngā kāri, iti iho i te 10 mano tāra tērā. Nā kia tirohia...
Hako te iti,
hako te iti kei ana kia oti I ngā kaitohutohu nei, te āta rapu I pēhetia ka aroa, a tauawa. Engari, I roto I ngā tau toru te kau, neke atu I te kotahi piri o na tāra, kua whakahaeringia.
Engari, kei te auwe tonu ngā kohanga.
And that was the kohanga.
Kohanga are still saying, even though
we
that explanation...
We know that, and that is why we went for the claim. You know, the Ministry of Education said to the Waitangi Tribunal proudly, Kohanga has received $1 billion over 30 years. And that is absolutely fantastic.
It doesn't appear to be filtering down to the Kohanga.
It absolutely is filtering down to the Kohanga. The problem,
then why are they still
Scotty, because they are
complaining about broken windows and no resources?
Kohanga Reo are the lowest funded of any early childhood service in the country. It's outrageous. Now, the Waitangi Tribunal agreed with us, and we are moving forward. These distractions, which have to be addressed, they are annoying, but they have to be addressed, and we are addressing them.
You said
we move
earlier,
forward to settle a claim to improve our future. It is an exciting future, and that's where we want to focus.
I ki mai koe, te kau mano tāra noi ho te uara o ngā rawa ke tanga pūtea nei. There's only about $10,000 worth of misappropriation going on.
It would appear.
About that.
If it is indeed misappropriation.
That's what you said. So what are you doing, Druis, as part of Te Pataka Ohanga? What are you doing? What are some of the systems you're putting in place to ensure that this kind of problem doesn't happen again?
Well, when the investigation is concluded, we would actually put in place what the policies and procedures that Te Pataka Ohanga needs to do. And when that's finished, that's what the organisation will do. I think it's unfair, Scotty, also to say the kohanga are crying out there for this and that. Some kohanga are. Most of our kohanga are well.
But you'll be responsible for all the kohanga, though,
yes, we are.
Even those that are struggling.
Well, some of them are struggling, but the other thing is that if they are struggling, apply to Pataka Ohanga to help them get through whatever they're going through.
How do you justify lifelong membership on Te Kohanga Reo National Trust? There's 7 members that are lifelong members. You've got Timoti Kāretu, Wharehuia Muwara, Iritani Tāwhiwhirangi. How can they be lifelong members of the trust when they weren't voted on as lifelong members?
Well, the Trust is a charitable organisation that set itself up. Originally, in 1983, the first iteration of the board had representatives of the major national Māori organisations. And over time, as I understand it, it became very difficult as the presidents or chairs of national organisations changed. There was an instability in the board. How it's been explained to me, kua au tētahi o ngā tamariki, hākua, neke atu I te rima te kauaku tau, I te ka noho au I te taha o ngā tino kaumātua te ao Māori, ka rite anō ki te marae. I o tātou marae, I mua I ngā ture o ngā tata nei, I ngā tau waru te kau I te wai wakature ai te Paeri Matua, he rite anō ki te marae. Ka pupuri hea e ngā kaitiaki, te whenua, mō te whānau, mō te hapu, mō te iwi, mō aki tonu, mate rāno. Now, so we've taken the model, they took the model.
About 30 seconds to wrap this up, Toni.
And we are reviewing, we've been on the road and we've been consulting our whānau because change is afoot. The settlement of the claim is moving us into a new structure. We have a whole study and consultation going on to look at improving our performance.
Look, e mihi ana kia kōrua, mo tō kōrua kaha, ki te taia tīnana mai ki mui te aroaro o te motu, ki te whakatakoto mai I a kōrua, whakautu me o kōrua whakaaro ki tēnei take tino taumaha. No e mihi ana kia kōrua, tēnā rā kōrua.
E mihi ana kia koutou I whakai, kia whakarongo mai kia māo.
Kia ora tātou katoa.